Hey guys, Billy here, and welcome to my 1000 subscriber celebratory Q&A video that I announced about 2 weeks back. So I'll be answering all the questions that I got on the YouTube video as well as the Twitter post. So let's get right into some questions. First off, we have my great friend Alan Riddick Music. Words cannot describe how happy I am for you, although I think you deserve at least 1 million subs. Thanks, dude. I have so many questions for you, man. Tell me one thing that gives you goosebumps every time. I think I'll have to say the album From Mars to Sirius by Gojira. I've listened through it a lot of times and it just never gets old. You know, they're like it's not the official title track, but Flying Whales. I consider it the title track kinda, because you have the flying whales on the cover, and that song in particular, goosebumps every single time. Next question is from Alan Brash. Will you ever return to Doom? Also, could you put the Doom covers you've done on Bandcamp as an EP? I will definitely return to Doom. I'm planning to make Doomtober bigger and better this year. I'm hoping it'll turn out that way anyways. As far as the Bandcamp thing, due to licensing stuffs, putting covers on Bandcamp is kind of a hassle. I might put them on something like iTunes though, if that's something people would be interested in. Let me know. Okay, next up is two questions that were pretty similar, so I'm just gonna combine them. First off, we have Amadeus Herrera. Probably not pronouncing that right. That's gonna happen a lot throughout this video, I'm afraid. I'm sorry. Congrats a lot. Love your videos. How do you record/mix the instruments? Thanks, dude. And Mr. Elite Fox, who says, Grattis till 1k subs. I'm curious on how you do/create your music. Like what programs/equipment you use. Well, it's kind of a long process, so I'm gonna try to summarize it real quick. Well, first things first, the main program/software that I use is called Reaper, and it's a fantastic DAW. DAW stands for Digital Audio Workstation, and I think one of the best things is that you can use it for free. Just start off, you know, you can use it for free for 60 days, I believe. And if you do buy it, which you should, if you end up using it, then it's actually really cheap if you compare it to other DAWs like Pro Tools, Logic, and Cubase. I think a Reaper license is about 50 bucks, and that's a full-fledged DAW. You know, it can do pretty much anything the other ones can do. You got everything you need there, most likely. So yeah, I'd really recommend Reaper. And how do I record my instruments? Well, as far as guitars and bass go, I plug them into a device called an interface, which is then plugged into my computer, and it turns basically the signal of what I play into digital signals that feed into your DAW. And from there on, I use a software plugin to make those signals sound like as if they were played through an amplifier. That's called an amp simulator, and there is a plethora of amp sims that are great and affordable out there. My personal one of choice is Line 6 Podfarm 2, and I really recommend that one. And I also do a lot of instruments right inside my computer using something called MIDI instruments, and that's kind of too big a subject for me to summarize quickly here, but you can search for it in YouTube and there are great videos about it. And how do I mix the instruments? That's also done mostly in Reaper. Reaper comes with some great plugins, and I mostly use the stock Reaper stuff. There are some external ones that I use for mixing, but not a whole lot actually. That's about as in-depth as I'm gonna get into that subject right now, but Google it, Reaper. Search for it in YouTube as well. There are great tutorials out there. Next question comes from, I think this is a German name. I'm gonna try to pronounce it in German. Bertan Liberecht. Let me know how I did. So alright, a question, right? Yes. Well, now, I got two. If you want, you can answer one of the two. One, what drove you into gaming, like your first game/gear, or was it a friend or something else? I first started gaming when I was really young because of, well, my friends having a lot of gaming consoles that I didn't have at the time, and eventually my parents got me a PlayStation 1 for my birthday, probably like my 7th birthday or something like that, and that's where it all started. 2. Also, what drove you into making metal covers from games/series? The person who drove me into doing it more than anyone else is definitely Family Jules. He went by Family Jules 7X back then. I saw his videos pop up. You know, I think the first thing I ever saw with him was the Pokemon Stadium main theme, and yeah, I was sold from that moment, I guess. I was also really into CS Guitar 89. Still am, fantastic musician. And well, after having seen Family Jules do his thing, then I was kinda slowly starting to plan that, hey, I wanna do video game covers as well. And I was kinda building it up slowly, when all of a sudden Family Jules posted his 7-minute medley challenge, where you had 1 week to do a 7-minute video game medley. And that kind of kick-started the entire thing. I was like, oh my god, I can do this, probably, maybe. And I just threw myself out there, and things have just been moving on since then. And I can recommend that, by the way. If you're thinking about getting started with something, then just get started with it ASAP. You're probably gonna suck at first, but you'll get better in no time. Okay, the next question comes from Hell6Bells, aka Bryn Boy. How did you learn to play like that? Well, that's a pretty wide question. I am mostly self-taught, I'd like to say. I started off with drums, took some lessons in that to learn the basics, but I didn't learn any metal from that. You know, I got the basics that I needed to start learning on my own, pretty much. As far as drums went, at least. Then guitars and bass, I just started doing it because my dad plays both guitar and bass, so we had those instruments around our house. So I just started out doing the absolute most basic things I could. I think the first thing I learned was Smoke on the Water, just on the 1 string, and then I upped the difficulty level just a little bit by learning Heaven's on Fire on the 1 string. It's like, includes 1 more fret than Smoke on the Water does, so, you know, just keep at it, watch YouTube videos, try to do what they do, you'll pick it up eventually. And that said, I don't think I'm good at all on guitar and bass, at least. Like, I can play it well enough to fill out the tracks that I want to do, but I would never call myself a guitarist or a bassist. I don't feel like I'm worthy of that. But thanks, Bryn. And another question from Bryn. May you please teach us how to make the best ramen ever? This is most likely a reference to an inside joke from a Snapchat group that I'm in with Bryn and a couple of others, but I'm gonna disregard that and just tell you how I make my ramen. Step 1. Fry tofu in sriracha. Step 2. Boil your instant ramen. Step 3. Put your noodles in a bowl and add some sort of fat to them. This will add a texture to your broth and also help you stay filled up for longer. Step 4. Add your included spice mix along with onion powder, garlic powder, soy sauce, and some more sriracha. Step 5. Add your fried tofu on top and pour in the water that you boiled your noodles in. And step 6. Don't forget to say itadakimasu before you start slurping. Also, add some fried vegetables if you have the time. It really adds to the flavor. There you go, that's how I make ramen. Video coming later. Probably not. I'm a cooking channel now. Next question comes from Ildur, or Ildur, not quite sure. Hooray! Ever thought of getting an Evertune guitar? I know you don't have tons of time for music making, and the Evertune saves a lot of time when recording. So far limited to 8 strings though. Yes, there is pretty much nothing that I'd rather have than an Evertune and my Widow 8-string guitar. Just seems like the most heavenly thing I can imagine. Thing that's keeping me though is I do not know how to get one installed. As far as I'm concerned, you have to like route out a new pocket in the body of your guitar, and I do not know how to do that, and I don't know who I could hire to do that. So yeah, I'd really love one. Let's talk about that later, dude. Next question is from Christian Richardson. Favorite time signature? That's kind of a hard question, but if I have to pick one that gives me the tingles every time I hear it, then that would have to be 7/8. Next up is a DJ Atlas. Congrats on the 1000, man. Thanks, dude. You worked hard and deserve it. I got a question. What's your favorite game series and favorite video game song? My favorite video game series is actually the Half-Life series, and it's kind of sad to see that, you know, recently we got the development in the Half-Life 3 story being released, and it probably won't ever happen as a game now. That's kind of sad. But hey, we got a great legacy from the first two games, so what you gonna do? What's my favorite video game song? In my opinion, the reigning champion of VGM is Flandre Scarlet's theme, aka You and Owen was her from Toho 6, I believe, embodiment of Scarlet Devil, and I'm definitely not making a cover of that really soon. Okay, no. Yes. Next up, Grim029. Congrats, man. Do you plan on releasing any originals? So I actually have been making original music. I just made a bad job of announcing it here, I think. I released my first album of original music back in December of 2015, titled The Forest God. And I was gonna make a video about that when I released it, but it just ended up not happening. But hey, it's available on Spotify, iTunes, Bandcamp, a lot of fun places like that. I'll link it below if you want to check it out. And I'm also currently working on my second full-length album. I'll make sure to actually mention it here this time. It will be out sometime before the end of the year, so you can look forward to that if you're excited about original music. The next question is from Gunderslam. Congratulations, dude. Thanks, man. Which cover is your favorite that you've done so far, and why? I'm probably gonna have to say Lethal Lava Land / Shifting Sandland is my favorite, because it just evolved on its own into this huge amalgam of different styles of music that I really wasn't intending for. It just fell so naturally for me, and it was really fun to play and arrange. Also, I got the honor to have this amazing piano solo by David Russell on there, and yeah, it just turned out really good in my opinion. Next up is from my fellow weeb legend Dave. Hey, what do you think of my weeb corner, bruh? Congrats on the 1K, my boy. You deserve that times 100. Thank you so much, dude. And here's my question. What anime series would you love to compose music for? That includes both background music and opening / ending. If we're talking already existing anime, like something that I would have loved to do the music for, that would have to be Mirai Nikki / Future Diary. I love the soundtrack for that one, and having a hand in that would have been so cool. And regarding future stuff that I would love to do later on, then any project linked to 5PB would be super awesome. And 5PB is the company that brought us Steins Gate, Robotics Notes, Chaos Head, Chaos Child, Occultic 9. Those ones, that would be freaking awesome to do in the future. Next up is Matt Tapley. So I always wondered, how do you come up with such intricate gent riffs? Does it come naturally, or do you work on it for a while and write it out? I'd say it's a combination of the two. The initial idea for a riff or rhythm section or something along those lines is usually a very spontaneous process for me. I will hear it in my head, like how I want it to sound, or I'll be playing along and I'll like feel I want something like this, and then I'll often, you know, either tap it out in MIDI or I'll improvise over it and really find those, you know, those sections that really vibe with me, and then I can like slowly refine it from there until I have what I heard in my head to begin with. Maybe Fun asks, hey dude, have you ever had Mexican food? And if so, what is your favorite? Tacos is a pretty common dish in Sweden, but I'm willing to bet it's probably pretty different from legit Mexican tacos. So that's the only experience I have, so I'm gonna say tacos. And then also, would you recommend down tuning or extended range guitars? Well, to a certain degree, I definitely say you can get away with just detuning the guitar you have. But it's really a question of scale length. I'd say if you're tuning down really far, then well, the lower you tune, the thicker the strings you'll need to remain the tension, unless you have a longer scale length. And thicker strings will give you a generally more dull sounding tone and less sustain. But as I said, to a certain extent, you'll probably be fine if you're tuning down to like B or C, B, A, around there. Then you'll probably be fine with a 6th string with a standard scale length. Any lower, I'd recommend getting a baritone or an extended range guitar. I actually started out with a 6th string that I tuned down to drop E using the 6th thickest string from an 8th string set. And you can check out my earliest covers, how that sounded. It worked, but I'm definitely better off now with my extended range guitars with their longer scale length. Also, of course, if you're just detuning a standard 6th string, then you're losing range. If you're tuning down, you'll lose high notes that you'll still have access to with an extended range guitar. So those are the other trade-offs, I'd say. It's really up to you. My boy Ryan Lafford asks, best/worst parts of Sweden. I could interpret this in 2 different ways. First one is best/worst parts geographically, like places, or the best/worst aspects of Sweden. And just to avoid confusion, I'm going to respond to both of those. Geographically speaking, I would say my hometown Gävle is one of the crappiest places, just because it has the highest youth unemployment rate in the entire country. And that's not really fun, for reasons. And the best parts of Sweden that I have experienced personally are the northern parts, like Lappland, Kiruna, Höga Kusten. It's really pretty there, the air is fresh. Downside is there's a lot of mosquitoes though. But yeah, I really like northern Sweden. Regarding the best and worst aspects of Sweden, I'd say the worst thing, in my opinion, is that we have essentially 6 months of winter and then 6 months of all the other seasons. And I don't really like winter, so that sucks, in my opinion. And then the best thing, I'd say, is that medical care and college/university grade studies are both free of charge in return for higher taxes. Okay, I'm back from a short lunch break. By the way, this is the most awesome mug I've ever seen. You got Rintaro from Steins Gate right there, and then you got Hakase from Nichijo, and it says science underneath in this huge mushroom cloud. Next question is from Ryan Martin. What made you get into extended range guitars? Because I'm getting into it myself because of people like you. You're actually another inspiration to me, so thank you for that. No problem, dude. Thank you so much for allowing me to be an inspiration to you. That's really cool to hear. Now, what made me get into extended range guitars? Well, as I mentioned earlier, I started off on a 6th string as well, but basically what led to me wanting to go lower, I guess, is there was this one time at a concert for this kind of musical summer camp thing, and one of the teachers there was jamming on an acoustic guitar, and he just tuned down the top string a little bit, and all of a sudden it sounded awesome. and that's the first time I heard of drop D. So I started doing that on the 6th string that I had at home. And then eventually I found out that drop C was the thing, kind of the same thing but 2 half steps lower, and I was like, well, this sounds even better! And well, that's kind of a natural progression, I guess. I'm pretty sure I tried out drop B at that point as well. And then somewhere along the line I started hearing these bands that used even lower tunings than that. I think I heard Intronaut, and they were doing drop A or A flat, something like that. I heard some Meshuggah, of course, and I really fell in love with this, I guess, droning sound that a lone open string tuned down really low makes. And yeah, I first came into contact with that sound through Intronaut and Meshuggah, I think. And I found out that Meshuggah plays 8 strings, and I immediately looked up, oh hey, what's an 8 string tuned to? F sharp, whoa. So yeah, I didn't have an 8 string, but that first 6 string that I tuned down that far, I borrowed it from a good friend and at the time bandmate called Emil Johansson. Link to his stuff in the description probably. And he borrowed me this Epiphone guitar, like a Les Paul, and I slapped those monstrous strings on it and tuned it down to drop E. And I was like, this is the tuning for me. I really like this tuning. And well, that's not to say I haven't ventured lower. I've gone D below that, C below that, even B and B flat below that a few times. And in my April Fool's Sorriest Song cover, I even went down to A below that, so that's an octave below drop A on a 7th string. It starts to get a little silly at that though, I'll admit. So yeah, that would be the story of my interest for extended range guitars. The fact that you can play those really low tunings, but you can still have access to all of the high notes that you would on a 6th string. You know, you don't have to compromise that to get the lower register. So that's the charm in extended range guitars for me personally. Next question. Next up we have Sean081799. How often do you make mistakes while recording? When you make a mistake, do you re-record? Do you let it slide? How do you manage mistakes? I make a lot of mistakes while playing, especially guitar. I don't think you'd believe how many retakes I do in a cover. So yeah, I mess up every single riff at least a couple of times, I'd say, before I finally get a good take. And well, yeah, when I make a mistake, I just pause it, Control-Z, and re-record. I don't often let mistakes slide unless it's, well, more like if I do a lead guitar thing and something unintentional happens, it can add a bit of feeling. To rhythm guitars in the genre that I prefer, not so much most of the time. I really want them to be lined up, but that's a taste thing, of course. So yeah, I make a lot of mistakes. Next question is from my good friend Burk of Gaming. Are you ever planning on covering the Attack on Titan theme song? This is sort of a running joke between the two of us. Me and Burkov went to high school together and we know each other in real life because of that. And I think during my 2nd year of high school we got to borrow all this fancy recording equipment, and that's when I started working on my cover of the Attack on Titan theme song. But you know, I wanted vocals on it. I did the vocals myself back then, and I wasn't happy with how it sounded, and it just got shelved. And this is the OP one, by the way, Guren no Yumiya. And basically, he's been pestering me about it ever since, like, hey, when are you gonna finish Attack on Titan? and yeah, I make excuses and stuff, and mainly I'm not happy with how I sound singing cleanly. But however, I'm close to finishing this one up, actually. I still don't sound that great singing, but I want to get started with that, and yeah, expect a cover of the Attack on Titan theme song soon. Tobias asks, who is your best friend, and why is it me? Quantum particles, that's why. This one is from Zorfunkel. Hey man, congrats on 1K. Seriously, that's huge. You deserve every one of your subs. Thanks, dude. Anyway, just one question. How big yo dick? Well, it sort of changes with the mood, I guess. This one is from Vincent Moretto. GZ for the milestone. I'm gonna guess GZ means grats. Thank you. My question is, how long have you been playing drums? Those on your last Banjo-Kazooie remix were tight AF. Solid covers you've got here. Thank you so much, bro. Your stuff is very tight as well. I started playing drums 10 years ago at this moment in time. I started when I was 11, I'm 21 now. So yeah, 10 years. Okay, those are all of the YouTube comments. Let's head on to the Twitter ones. So our first Twitter question is from Michael Jebhart. How many countries have you traveled to? What are some of your more unique travel experiences? Oh, interesting question. Let me think about that real quick. Well, I traveled through a lot of countries when I was too young to remember it, because my parents went on quite a couple of vacations, and some of them were road trips, I believe, so it went through a lot of countries. So a lot of the Nordic countries, at least, you know, Finland, Denmark, Norway, I've been in those. I believe I've been in Austria as well, just on those, but I don't really remember that much about them myself. Then from the ages where I've started to kind of remember stuff, I've been in America once as a little kid, and once very recently when I went to MagFest this January. And I've also been in England once a couple of years ago, like in 2012, and sometime before that I was in Greece, I believe. So yeah, those are the countries. I actually really dislike traveling, and I avoid it at all costs, pretty much, which is why, you know, 2012, the London trip was pretty much the last big trip that I did, excluding the MagFest trip this year. And regarding that MagFest trip, that's probably the more unique travel experience. As I said, I really hate traveling. I do not like to do it at all. Just being away from home eats away at me, and I try not to do it that much. However, MagFest really dragged me out of that, I guess, momentarily, because all of my YouTube friends who I've known for so long, but never met in real life, were going there, and I was invited. I was invited to stay in a hotel room with my awesome friends. They offered to pick me up at the airport along with the other people, and, you know, it felt like the things I were most worried about, like, was taken care of. And I just thought, like, well, maybe I should take the plunge and actually do this. I was mortified at the thought of going to America on my own, but I ended up going through with it, and the trip was terrible. It really was. It was so stressful, and I felt like I would die. But when I finally arrived and I met all of these people in real life, there were, you know, Reese, GD Ultima, there were Alejandro, AH Music, Bryn, Hell Six Bells, Brandon, 16 in Mono. When they met me up at the airport and I could see them in real life, it was the most bizarre and the most awesome feeling. You know, I actually, like, nearly blacked out a little bit. I got lightheaded at that point, and And that kept on going, of course. When we arrived at the Gaylord National Hotel, I met Lil V, I met Ryan Lefford, I met Ro Panaganti, Insane in the Rain Music, Sab Irene, all these people, and it was mind-blowing, and it was amazing as well. I felt so welcomed, and I felt so at home, and you know, it was a wonderful experience, and I will be going back to Magfest this year. That's the plan anyways. I'm still worried about the trip. The trip is the terrible part, but getting there makes it so worth it, despite, you know, my dislike of traveling. So yeah, I dragged on for that one, sorry. But yeah, that's my answer. Thanks for the question, dude. Next question is from, oh boy, I'm not sure how to pronounce this. I'm gonna go ahead and guess it's Dachangrada. Might be Daciangrada, might be something completely else, I'm sorry. What exercises/songs would you suggest for improving on syncopated rhythm parts, like you usually do in your brutal covers? One song that immediately comes to mind is Machine by Born of Osiris. I don't necessarily like the song that much, but it has some really good genty patterns that are still pretty simple for being of that genre, but you know, if you're just getting started, like learning more complex rhythms, then that song is really good for it. The main thing is really good. It's like and that's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Then there's a part later on with like triplet groups, like something like that, which is a little more tricky, but I think you should be able to get that song down fairly quickly, and it helps you get into the mindset of this syncopated rhythm stuff. And if you want something more difficult, then you could always try out a Meshuggah song. You know, something like New Millennium Cyanide Christ. That's not the most technical song they have, but it's still tricky with the polymetric stuff. You know, there's several time signatures going on at once, so the riff won't really loop at the same time as the drum beat does, because you have, you know, I'm not sure what the time signature of that one is. You have that going over on top of the 4/4 that the drums are mainly playing, and of course you have Bleed by Meshuggah if you just wanna torture yourself with remembering rhythms. And I'm not gonna pretend like I've got Bleed down. I've got like, I think I've deciphered like 5 of the patterns in Bleed. I haven't, it's really difficult. Next question is from Jos Moose. Pineapple on pizza, yes or no? Very important. Personally, I'm gonna have to say no. I'm not a fan of pineapple on pizza, but I'm also not the type of person to get all violent about people enjoying pineapple on their pizza. You know, you do you. I would not put pineapple on my pizza, personally. Sorry. Next question is from Omega. Congrats, dude. Thanks, man. What would be your dream career or something you'd love doing in the future? Definitely something with music would be my dream career. I'm currently, you know, my ultimate goal right now is to make my YouTube channel my full-time job. I'm not sure how realistic it is, but if I could choose a profession, then that's what I'd go for at this point in time anyways. And I guess something else with music, it would be really cool to be able to sustain myself just by writing my own music, but I'm probably pretty far from that goal. But yeah, that would be my dream job. The next question is from Reese at Rose Colored Boy. You got any fun instruments we haven't seen in videos? Well, yeah, I have quite a few. Let me walk you through them. First off, I have this ancient harmonica that I probably inherited from some relative, and I have no idea how to play harmonica whatsoever. I just know if you have your mouth at the same spot and exhale and inhale, those two notes will sound okay together. But yeah. I have that. It'd be fun to use in something someday. This one you have seen in a cover, just not that often recently. It's my common 12-hole sweet potato ocarina. Haven't played this in forever. Yeah. Love to use this one more too. I just don't find the opportunity that often anymore. And then on ocarinas, I also have this Ocarina of Time thing. Got it off of Wish. It's pretty crappy. It's nice to look at, but it doesn't sound that great. Yeah, I messed up that scale too. But yeah, I have that one, but just for show mostly. I have a couple of juice harps. This one is a little bit bigger, tuned to A, I think. Might have to get the mic closer. Ow. It's a cool sound. Still haven't used it in a cover. This one is much smaller and has more high-pitched sound. Yeah. Get that microphone back to where it was. This one is also quite unusual. I do not know if it has a name in English. It's called an orpipa in Swedish, and this is actually a hunting tool rather than a musical instrument. I think it's supposed to mimic the call of there's this certain bird, I think it's called a grouse in English. Let me look that up real quick. Yeah, it's called a grouse. So it's supposed to mimic the call of a grouse. And however, it's also used pretty commonly in Swedish folk music. It makes this strange percussive sound. Also, if you blow very hard into it, can kind of sound like a reverse cymbal. Let me show you what it sounds like. Something like that, so you can make rhythms with it. Or the reverse cymbal sound is kind of like something like that. Interesting. Still haven't used that in a cover either. Let's see. Then this one I have used in a cover, well, like my third cover ever, I think. I did Minuet of Forest. And this is a tin whistle, kind of rusty, and I haven't played this in forever either. Can't remember how to play anything, but let's see. The octave thing is difficult. Oh, well, I tried. Yeah, cool instrument. Haven't played it in forever. Not like I was ever good at it, but I was better than what you just heard. And then I have two recorders that I'm also quite crap at playing. I have this one. It's a wood alto recorder that I borrowed from my good friend Rickard. I'll link to his channel below. And I suck at playing recorder too, by the way. I have a lot of these because I intended to get into it more, which hasn't happened that much with most of them. And I also have this Yamaha alto recorder, which has a carbon fiber coated midsection that my friend Kira did for me. It looks pretty sweet. I don't know if I remember how to play anything on recorder here. Let me try. Yeah, that was supposed to be Dragon style. Sorry for offending recorder players. I do not claim to be one at all. Okay, yeah, I think that does it for the exotic instruments that I have. So yeah, hopefully those will show up in a cover someday. Next question is from Ro Polygon T. What makes you enjoy 8 and 9 string guitars? What brand do you recommend? I think I responded to the first half of this pretty thoroughly already, but to summarize, you get access to the really low register that I love the sound of, and you don't have to sacrifice the high register to get to it. What brand do you recommend? I can't say I could recommend Agile that much. My 9-string has been giving me trouble. I'm gonna leave it at that. I guess the guitars I can recommend, the brands, are Woodo and Schecter. I guess for Schecter, most of their models don't go about 26.5 inches of scale length, which is a bit short in my opinion if you have an 8-string and you want to go lower than like F sharp. So maybe an Ibanez would be better, because I believe they do 27 or 28 inches. But yeah. Oh, and I'm also gonna take this opportunity to mention that I don't feel like 9 strings is something that I actually need. Then you're gonna wonder, why do I have one? It's not because it's a gimmick, and it's also not because I feel the need of having 9 strings in an instrument. I have it because it popped up on this used goods page here in Sweden, and it had a really good price on it, and it had a 30-inch scale length, and I had been looking for an instrument with a 30-inch scale length a lot at that time, because I still had my white Schecter Omen with a 26.5, and I desperately needed some more scale length, and well, I found that 30-inch, and I thought, oh my god, I'm never gonna find a 30-inch instrument again. So I decided, I guess it doesn't hurt that it has an extra string. You know, I was looking for a 30-inch 8-string, but yeah, I found that, and that's why I got it. I don't think it's a terrible idea by any means, but I feel, you know, you can down tune your 8-string into that register without losing all that much. That's my opinion on it. I'm not a 9-string fanatic, so to speak. I'm glad I have one though, because it's an interesting instrument, but yeah. The next question is from Simon Hedqvist. Hey dude, coffee, tea or hot chocolate? Hot chocolate without a doubt. I tried getting into coffee, I cannot do it, it doesn't work. I've also tried getting into tea, or my family has tried getting me into tea, rather. And again, doesn't work for me, it's doesn't vibe with me, so hot chocolate every day of the week. The Game Brass asks, anime is real, right? Tobias Ofko asks, have you ever been far even as decided to use even go want to do look more like? Yes, I have. And the final Twitter question is from Zarina. Congrats, Billy, you more than deserve it. Thank you so much. What is it you enjoy so much about 8/9-string guitars? I think I've covered that pretty thoroughly at this point. It's all about that range, boy. Also, what's your first step in arranging? Actually, what I like to start off with is the leads, or the melodies of sorts. So often what I'll do is I import the original song into my project, and I sync up the tempo of the project to that, and then I'll go through and program in those leads using some form of synthesizer. It can be a MIDI guitar, a piano, or just a plain old synthesizer, just to have those like in there. And then when I have those done, I usually start to think about sort of what kind of beat the drums will be doing. If it's going to be a really quick one, if it's going to be a slower tempo, if it's going to change between the two. I try to get that kind of down before I start thinking too much. And the drums are really rough at that point. I refine them as the project progresses. When I have those elements in there, then I can usually just mute the original and start to listen and see what I hear in my head when I hear the melodies and the basic feel of the beat of the song. And then I can usually come up with a good idea of what I want to do with the song at that point. And then it's just a matter of adding more elements and refining until I have an arrangement that I like. Okay, that about does it. That's every single question. I think we had a whopping 32 questions for this, and that's pretty insane. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for leaving your questions. I hope my responses were somewhat in line with what you were hoping for. Otherwise you can yell at me in the comments and I'll try to do a better job. But yeah, I'll see you when I see ya, and have a great day, guys. Bye. Another burp, another blooper.